Chapter 1988. Only after passing the first round, the entrance to the second round would open. And the entrance to the first round was coincidentally the stone lion in front of the appraiser hall. As long as one touched the stone lion, they would enter the first round inheritance space. Mayan was originally interested in refining elixirs, so she immediately entered the inheritance space. Mayan was already interested in refining elixirs, so she immediately entered the inheritance space. Almost at the same time Mayan appeared in the inheritance space. Many people's eyes were focused on her. Ah, look, it's God Yi. In fact, ever since Mayan became famous, she learned from the young martial uncle and hid her name and appearance. But now, in the inheritance space, the name above her head was forced to appear. Isn't God Yi proficient in talismans? Why is she also participating in the Medicine King's inheritance test? Who doesn't want to be Medicine King's disciple? Furthermore, didn't God Yi refine the water element elixir? Please, how can that be the same? God Yi isn't refining elixirs, he is directly drawing a talisman that can refine elixirs. I admit that God Yi's talisman drawing ability is indeed heaven-defying, but I'm afraid she doesn't know how to refine elixirs. As everyone was discussing, someone suddenly shouted, "It's God Fuchen, God Fuchen is here." If I may say, God Fuchen is the most likely to become Medicine King's personal disciple. After all, he is the only one to trigger the Medicine King's inheritance in the past 800 years. The surrounding people were discussing, but Mayan was already used to such discussions. Yi Viangchen. Suddenly, Fuchen's voice echoed in her ears, "To easily destroy a sect in the purple cloud world, you are truly ruthless." Mayan replied calmly, "Thank you for the compliment." Chu Tianyou's face sank, then he said coldly, "The Medicine King's inheritance is mine. You aren't proficient in refining elixirs. If you still have some self-awareness, you should withdraw as soon as possible." Mayan sneered, "Who do you think you are? You want me to withdraw? The Medicine King's inheritance depends on one's ability, whoever obtains it gets it. To be called God Fuchen, don't you even have this bit of self-confidence?" Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Oh, I was wrong. God Fuchen is very confident and his skin is thicker than the city wall. Otherwise, why would he say that he triggered the Medicine King's inheritance and publicize it?" What do you mean?" Chu Tianyou's expression changed, and he looked to the side. Seeing that no one dared to eavesdrop on their conversation, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Yi Liang Chen, what do you know?" The smile on Mu Yan's face becomes more and more mocking. However, before she could say anything, Lilian's voice rang out. "You have reached the limit of 100 people. You will now be transported to the venue of the first stage of the exam. The first stage is called Myriad Things. The condition to clear the Myriad Things is very simple. As long as you can survive for 24 hours and walk out of the Myriad Things space alive, you will pass." Mu Yan is a little confused. The requirement of the All Things stage was to survive for 24 hours? Logically speaking, shouldn't this be the easiest? Just as he was thinking, the scene in front of him changed. The originally chaotic space gradually turned into mountains and rivers, with hundreds of flowers blooming and birds chirping. The tip of his nose was filled with a strong fragrance. Taking a deep breath, Zhang Xian felt refreshed and refreshed. What a beautiful place! Is this the everything level? Pull up load next chapters. Chapter 1989. Is this the all things test? But there are no vicious beasts or demons here. Isn't it easy to survive for 24 hours? Mu Yan also finds it a little strange. This is a valley. For 100 people, the area is large, but they can see the end at a glance. No matter how you look at it, there is no danger here. However, will they really pass the Medicine King's inheritance test so easily? Devour Mu Yan is puzzled, but she is not in a hurry. She finds a rock in the corner of the valley and sits down. Time goes by. After discovering that there is really no danger in this valley, the originally tense cultivators begin to play in 2s and 3s. Among them, several people from Liang Chen's army secretly look at Mu Yan. Their eyes are full of worship, but they dare not approach. The unforeseen event happened 2 hours later. A group of cultivators catches a few fish from the stream and roasts them to eat. These fish are snowy silverfish, which are quite common in the cultivation world. They don't contain much spiritual power, but their meat is delicious, and many spiritual chefs like to cook them. After these people eat a few snowy silverfish, one of them suddenly screams, clutches his stomach and falls down. Then the second one, the third one. Poison. This snowy silverfish is poisonous. There are a total of 7 people poisoned. 5 of them quickly take out antidote pills and survive. But there are also 2 people who are too deeply poisoned to take medicine, and their figures slowly disappear. This change makes the cultivators inside panic for a while, but they soon calm down. After all, it's just the snowy silverfish that is poisonous, they just don't eat it. Mu Yen looks at them comforting themselves, but slightly narrows her eyes. Is it really that simple? Of course not. An hour after the snowy silverfish poisoning incident, another group of people falls down. It's a group of young girls. They don't eat anything in the valley, but they pick beautiful flowers. Some make garlands and wear them on their heads, some put them on their temples, and some twist them in their hands. At the beginning, nothing happens. But suddenly, the girl holding the flowers screams, "My hand, it hurts." She stretches out her hand, and it turns out to be badly mutilated. Almost at the same time as she screams, the girls wearing garlands, the flowers on their temples, their whole faces, and even their whole heads begin to rot. These people don't even have time to take an elixir, they scream and fall down, and their figures slowly dissipate. The flower is poisonous. The elimination of these flower-picking girls was like the prelude to the massacre of everything. Something bit me. Quick, give me an antidote pill. God, this water is also poisonous. Don't touch anything in the valley. Crap. Antidote pill. My antidote pill is gone. In the valley, it was a mess. Every blade of grass, every tree, every drop of water, every stone, everything was poisonous, everything was fatal. This was the first stage of the Herb King's inheritance. Mayan has already stood up from the rock she was sitting on, holding a poison-repelling pill in her hand. He looked at the scene in front of him. The cultivators fled in panic, screamed, and took the poison avoidance pill. However, as time passed, there were more and more poisonous things in the valley, and the toxicity was getting stronger and stronger. The poison prevention pill was indeed useful, but sometimes, people didn't even have time to take the pill before they were poisoned to death. Moreover, Mu Yen looks on coldly and finds that the consumption of the poison prevention pill is really too great. Only 8 hours had passed. Pull up load next chapters. Chapter 1990. Even if the Jade Key space is huge and filled with poison avoidance pills, it can't sustain such consumption. Eventually, the poison avoidance pills will be stolen. Sure enough, after some of the cultivators ran out of poison avoidance pills, they decided to take advantage of the poison avoidance pills that others had in order to persevere. Mu Yen watched from the side. She had no intention of interfering. After all, this was just a test. There was no real danger to their lives. They were driven mad by the poison and wanted to steal her poison avoidance pills. When they reached her, they saw the words Yap Liangchen above her head. They were so scared that they fell to their knees. What a joke! She was the Lord of 6 stars, the one and only Dragon Ascension's 6 leaderboards. It was not an exaggeration to say that Yap Liangchen was the best among the young cultivators. He must be crazy to dare to steal God Yap's poison avoidance pills. As a result, when he knelt down, the grass on the ground was poisonous. The wound on his hand was stained with the grass juice. He died instantly. For hours later, there were still more than 80 people in the valley. 10 hours later, there were only Mu Yen and Chu Tianyu left in the valley. Unfortunately, the 2 of them didn't last long. 10 hours later, Chu Tianyu ran out of poison avoidance pills and was eliminated. 12 hours later, Mu Yen frowned as she looked at the remaining 3 poison avoidance pills in the Jade Key. At this moment, there was nothing in the valley that wasn't poisonous. Rocks, plants, insects, fishes, birds, and beasts. Even the soil under her feet began to turn into a poisonous swamp inch by inch, swallowing up the place where she lived. In the end, Mu Yen didn't take the 3 poison avoidance pills. Instead, she left the everything space. After leaving the everything space, Mu Yen didn't appear in front of the appraiser hall. Instead, she went to the reincarnation square. At this time, the reincarnation square was in an uproar. Everyone was talking about the everything test. How long did you stay in the everything space? I only stayed for 4 hours before I was poisoned to death by a pile of bird poop. I didn't fare much better than you. I was eliminated in less than 5 hours. I heard that less than half of the people could last more than 6 hours. 8 hours later, the entire valley was covered in poison. Heavens, how can a place like this last 24 hours? Do you know who stayed in there the longest? While everyone was discussing, little Tion's voice rang out in the reincarnation square. On the first day of the Sage Ancestor Medicine King's inheritance space, no one passed. I hope everyone will continue to work hard. The following are the top 100 practitioners who lasted the longest in all things. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge light screen appeared in front of everyone. It was densely packed with everyone's names. Number 1, Yap Liangchen. Second place, Fuchen. The reincarnation square instantly exploded. Yi Liangchen. It is Yi Liangchen again. My God, he slaughtered 3 of the Azure Cloud rankings in the Azure Blue domain and 6 of the Soaring Dragon rankings in the Purple Cloud domain. Is it not enough for him to come to the Tianguang ruins to slaughter the rankings? Cough cough, it's useless even if you're first. You still didn't pass the test. In my opinion, Great God Fuchen, who triggered the Medicine King's inheritance, is still the best. Bah! First place is useless. If you are capable, why don't you take first place? If you are capable, let Fuchen take first place too. Our great God Yi is a specialist in slaughtering the rankings. He is the world's number 1. If you are not convinced, then come and fight. Chapter 1991. Yes, if you don't accept it, we, Liangchen's army, have never been afraid of anyone. God Yi is invincible. Long live God Yi. Listening to the noise of the crowd, Mu Yen shook her head with a smile and directly left Tianguang ruins. These people were right about one thing. The first place was meaningless. She wanted to be the first person to pass the test. Was there poison in the King of Medicine's inheritance space? Hee hee, interesting, she didn't believe that she couldn't live for more than 24 hours. In the space, Mu Yen wrote the word all things on the paper. Then, he frowned slightly and wrote the word poison. During the 12 hours of the assessment, she had encountered at least 40 kinds of poisons. The first 30 kinds could be eliminated by ordinary antidote pills. However, the poison that began to appear after 10 hours was not something that could be easily cured by using an antidote pill. Even if antidote pills could solve it, she would need to take at least 3 to 5 pills. And with such a consumption rate, it definitely wouldn't last for more than 24 hours. Moreover, who could guarantee that the poisons that appeared in the next 12 hours would not be more powerful? What if there was no antidote at all? So it seemed that the test of all things was simply a dead end. On the third day, Mu Yen entered the space of all things again. This time, her survival time was increased to 14 hours. But in the end, she used up all the pills and was eliminated. On the test list of all things, Liangchen's name had always been at the top. But no one could finally pass the test. After 14 hours, the poisons that appeared in the space of all things could no longer be resisted by the antidote pill. Mu Yen even had a guess that in the end, even the air in the whole valley might be poisonous. Who could survive for 24 hours in such a perverted and desperate situation? It was obviously an impossible task. It was not that Mu Yen didn't think of refining pills on the spot. But first, no matter how fast the refining speed was, it would take at least half an hour. Second, although there were elixirs in the valley, they were basically poisonous. Even if they were refined into pills, they could only be poisonous pills, which had no effect on detoxification. Mu Yen threw away the pen in her hand and was a little discouraged. Since her rebirth, she had encountered many difficulties. But most of them were settled by her strength and willpower. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation where she was at her wit's end. "Mother!" Xiao Bao's crisp and tender voice suddenly rang in his ears. "It's written in the book that the juice of this vine can cure the poison of this grass." Mayan stares blankly and turns to look at her son. She sees Xiao Bao's fair and tender little hand pointing at the names of the two poisonous creatures that Mayan had listed on the paper. The first was the blue heart vine. The second was the bone-penetrating grass. The blue heart vine was a poison that appeared not long after the snow silverfish. It was originally an ordinary vine, but after 2 hours, it had turned into a poisonous blue heart vine. As for the bone-penetrating grass, it was a poison that appeared at the 12th hour. The juice of the blue heart vine could cure the poison of the bone-piercing grass? Mu Yen stands up abruptly. "Xiao Bao, how did you know?" "It's written in the book." Xiao Bao holds a somewhat shabby ancient book and brings it to Mu Yen. Mu Yen takes it and has a look. On the cover of the ancient book was written, "Records of Mutual Restriction of Poisonous Substances." Opening the ancient book, Mu Yen discovered that more than half of the pages were missing. There were also a few that had long been broken, without much information left behind. Chapter 1992. But the small half of the book left behind has already made Mu Yen overjoyed. Because the poisonous herbs and poisons mentioned in this, mutual restraint of poisons, are what she had seen in the King of Medicine's first test. All things in the world reinforce and restrain each other, complementing each other. This is a truth that many people know. But what about between poisons and poisons? No one knows and no one dares to try. Fighting poison with poison, it sounds simple, but how many people would really dare to take poison to cure another kind of poison? But as it happens, the King of Medicine has grasped the heart of a cultivator that seeks benefits and avoids harm, and set up this everything checkpoint. All things reinforce and restrain each other. Without top there is no bottom, without low there is no high, without bitterness there is no sweetness. It's not only elixirs that can restrain poison, but also poisons that also contain highly toxic substances. The only way to survive in the everything checkpoint is to push oneself to the edge of death. "Xiao Bao, you really are Nyangqin's god of luck." Mu Yen picks up Xiao Bao and kisses him hard. Nyangqin finally knows the way to pass the checkpoint. Xiao Bao's long eyelashes hang down, a little shy, but also a little happy. Nyangqin finally doesn't have to worry anymore. "Mu Yen, that's right, Xiao Bao, where did you find this mutual restraint of poisons?" Xiao Bao blinks. "Brother Qi Huang gave it to me." Despite Qi Huang's strong protests, Xiao Bao still obeys Mu Yan's wishes and calls Qi Huang brother. Mu Yan, hee, a brat that's more naughty than Xiao Bao, and still wants to be a generation higher than Xiao Bao, dream on. Brother Qi Huang said, "That woman Mu Yen is so stupid, she can't even pass this small checkpoint." Wouldn't that be throwing the face of the Tian Mo Qin, throwing the face of this great tool spirit? "Boy, you wait here. In a moment when I throw the book down, you take it to her. If she can't pass it, humph, this sage will despise her for a lifetime." Xiao Bao's words are said with a straight face, and it also contains the unhappiness of Qi Huang scolding his mother for being stupid. However, he repeated Qi Huang's words without missing a single word. Mu Yan's mouth twitches. Is Qi Huang's skin itching again? Where is he? Xiao Bao shook his head blankly. "I don't know either." Big brother Qi Huang disappeared after leaving the book. Mu Yan's heart stirred, suddenly remembering something. Did Qi Huang help her find the book in the book pagoda? However, it was clear that Qi Huang could only help her find the book in this state. Thinking of this, Mu Yan felt both amused and moved. She gestured to Xiao Bao, the fat rabbit, and little Phoenix not to come in, and walked into the book pagoda. The structure of the book tower was completely suspended in the air, and the structure of the bottom could be seen at a glance. Mu Yan looks around and quickly sees a small bulging bag in the northern corner of the tower. The small bag was covered with a gray cloth and was hidden in the shadow of the bookshelf. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't have noticed it. Mu Yan walked to the small bag in 2 or 3 steps and reached out to pull it. However, the cloth covering the bag was tightly sealed, and she couldn't open it no matter how hard she tried. Mu Yan said softly, Cough cough, Qi Shao Huang, are you going to stay like this for 6 hours? A crisp but exasperated voice came from under the gray cloth. Get lost. Within 6 hours, no one is allowed to enter the book pagoda. Otherwise, this sovereign will kill all of you. Mu Yen listened to this childish voice and almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. But thinking that Qi Huang had turned into the form that he most didn't want to in order to help her, Mu Yan's heart becomes extremely soft. Chapter 1993. Although Qi Shao Huang was stubborn and merciless with his words, the truth was that he was just at Sundra. Mu Yen suddenly reaches out, and together with the gray cloth, she picks up the person. Qi Huang's whole body stiffened, then he shouted, Jun Mayan, what are you doing? Don't you know that men and women should not touch each other? You put me down. Mayan sneers, and conveniently slaps her fair and tender little butt. You're just an artifact spirit. Why are you talking to me about how men and women shouldn't touch? Qi Huang tore off the gray cloth, shouting in a flustered and exasperated manner, Jun Mayan, you still know that this Zun is a noble ancient artifact spirit. You're simply audacious. You actually dare to hit this Zun's little fart. Mu Yen kindly added for him. Seven Brilliance was so angry that he almost fainted. Bastard, wait for this sovereign to recover. I definitely won't let you off. His brows are cold and his eyes are fierce, his killing intent is soaring, and he's overbearing towards Mayan. Unfortunately, these expressions and auras were terrifying when placed on the young Qi Huang's face. But on this fair and tender little baby in front of him, there was only an enchanting cuteness. Mayan finally can't control her devil's claws. She grabs her soft little face and pulls. Aya, it's really nice to pinch. It was softer than Little Treasure's face. Qi Huang was completely driven mad, his lotus-like limbs flailing about. Bastard, bastard, bastard. Jun Mayan, Ben Zun wants to kill. Before he could finish howling, Mayan's hand that was pinching his little face has already changed to caress the back of his head. His peach blossom eyes, which had always been lazy and evil, contained a bit of gentleness and gratitude. Qi Huang, thank you. All of Qi Huang's rage was instantly like a punctured ball, completely leaking out. He snorted. You don't think that I will let you off just because you said that? Mu Yen continued. Moreover, I think this Qi Huang is really cute. I like it very much. Her fair and tender cheeks turned crimson, almost visible to the naked eye. Seven Brilliance opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he was tongue-tied and could not say a single word. He felt that his heart was beating so fast in his chest that it almost jumped out. He, an artifact spirit, had the heart. Like it? Qi Huang's voice was strained and nervous. But before he could say anything, Little Treasure rushed in from outside. As soon as he sees Mayan holding a little baby carved from jade. The Polar Domain's future young master, who had always been calm and mature, who wouldn't change his expression even if MT Tai collapsed in front of him, suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis surge in his heart. Who was this kid? Why was his mother hugging him so intimately? Could it be that his position as the most precious treasure in his mother's heart was about to be snatched away? Thinking of this, Xiaobao doesn't even think about it. He rushes over and hugs Mu Yan's thigh, Nyang. Raising his delicate little face, a pair of watery blue eyes are filled with childish admiration and longing. Mommy, hug. Mu Yan is stunned. Was Xiaobao acting coquettishly with her? Her baby had always been calm and rational. He didn't have the naivety and willfulness of his peers. This was the first time Little Treasure had acted like a 5- or 6-year-old child. Mu Yen promptly puts down Qi Huang, hugs Xiaobao in her arms and kisses his face. What's wrong, baby? Xiaobao doesn't say anything, but he rubs against her neck, then coldly looks at Qi Huang. I don't care who you are, right? But Nyangqin is mine. Nyangqin can only hug me, can only kiss me, can only treat Xiaobao as the most important treasure. Chapter 1994. The corners of Qi Huang's mouth twitches. He, a dignified tool spirit, has actually been reduced to fighting for favor with a child? Fight your sister. Who said that he wanted Mayan to hug him, kiss him? He doesn't care about it. Although he thinks so, Qi Huang still wraps himself in the gray blanket and turns around. His little face is still boiling hot at this moment, as if it's about to burn. The moment he turns around, Qi Huang suddenly feels that his thoughts are blurred for a moment. The next moment, his arrogant and stubborn expression turns into a deep and unfathomable sneer. His gaze unobtrusively schemes over Mayan and Xiaobao behind him, then slowly converges. The curve of his mouth is cold and meaningful. However, in the blink of an eye, this strange expression disappears without a trace. What's left is a bewildered and frightened Qi Xiaohuang. He also glances at Mayan, but his eyes are worried and concerned, nervous and determined. His small hands are tightly clenched into fists. In some remote ruins deep in the mountains, Luo Yunxiao and Qi Wen are walking through the ruins, followed by a woman in a purple dress. This woman is fairy-like and has a picturesque appearance. She's a great beauty that can topple the nation. Looking at her bearing and posture, graceful and luxurious, there's an unconcealable icy arrogance between her brows. It's very obvious that she's a very proud and noble person. But facing Luo Yunxiao at this time, she's gentle like water blown by the spring breeze. The adoration and infatuation between her brows are almost overflowing. The man in front of her is like a piece of cutting and learning from each other, like a chisel and polished. His beauty is unique and unparalleled in this world. Even if it's just a glance from him, she would feel that she has no regrets in this life. It's just that this person looks as gentle as jade, without any edges or corners. In fact, he always keeps a distance that's neither too far nor too close. He can't advance an inch, but he's also reluctant to take a step back. There's silence in the ruins, only Qi Wen's incessant chatter can be heard. Oh, it seems that it's not here. Master, we have to look for another place. Wandering around in the mountains every day is so boring. Let's go back and find Mei Yanyan, okay? I haven't seen Mei Yanyan for a long time. I want to sleep and wake up in Mei Yanyan's warm embrace every day. Luo Yunxiao coldly looked at Qi Wen. Qi Wen laughed dryly. I'm just joking. Master, you can't even sleep with him. How could I get a chance? Splat. The kiss fell to the ground and turned into a lump of meat pie. It struggled to get up and wanted to protest like its master. However, Luo Yunxiao suddenly clutched her heart, and her originally fair cheeks flushed. Even his originally pale thin lips had turned bright red. Master, what's wrong? Young Master Yunxiao, are you all right? Luo Yunxiao dodged the purple-clothed woman's outstretched hand and used one hand to support herself against the stone wall to steady herself. Master, what's wrong? Is it acting up? Luo Yunxiao shook her head and stared blankly in a certain direction. Clearly, there was nothing but a pitch-black stone wall, and yet, it was as if he could see through it into the distance, a figure that filled him with dread, desire, and longing. What was going on? Just now, he felt as if he was very, very close to Mu Yan, so close that he could hear her voice and smell her breath. And that faintly discernible, I like it very much. Right now, Mu Yan was clearly far away at Long Tung Academy, so why would he have such an illusion? Moreover, this wasn't the first time. Chapter 1995. In the River of Forgetfulness, when he was in the most pain and despair, almost falling into the endless abyss of darkness. It was also in a trance that he heard Mayan's zither and endured it. Master, are you okay? Don't scare Qi Wen. Yunxiao Gongzi, did you get hurt while saving me? The purple-clothed woman and Qi Wen are about to cry. Luo Yunxiao's complexion slowly returns to normal. He says in a low voice, I'm fine. Seeing that his expression is as usual, Qi Wen is relieved, but she can't help but start to talk. Master, you don't know, you looked like you were suddenly in love. Ha, did you suddenly think of beauty? Luo Yunxiao doesn't wait for it to finish, waving his hand and activating the array plate. Soon, the transmission array is activated, and 2 people and 1 beast arrive at the edge of the jungle. Luo Yunxiao looks at the woman. It's safe here, we'll go north to the nearest town, we'll say goodbye here. Wait a minute. Seeing that Luo Yunxiao is about to leave, the woman says anxiously, Yunxiao Gongzi, don't you even want to know who I am? Before Luo Yunxiao can speak, Qi Wen is already shouting, do you think you're Mei Yin? Why should my master know who you are? Oh, another one who wants to devote herself to him? TSK, forget it. The number of people who want to devote themselves to my master can line up from Tiannan to Haibei. If you want to devote yourself to him, go to the back and line up. The purple-clothed woman's face stiffens, her face showing humiliation and unwillingness. She looks at Luo Yunxiao with watery eyes, wanting to see a trace of amazement and emotion in his eyes. Unfortunately, Luo Yunxiao did not even look at him. She directly grabbed Qi Wen's neck, who was about to continue her nonsense, and left. His pace looks calm and unhurried, but in the blink of an eye, he's already a kilometer away. The purple-clothed woman doesn't even have time to say her identity. She lowers her head slightly, her hands clenching the hem of her clothes. At this moment, several figures appear in front of her like lightning, kneeling on the ground. Greetings, Saintess. Saintess, it's great that you're okay. We've been looking for you for a long time. The purple-clothed woman grits her teeth, finally suppressing the surging emotions in her heart. She turns around and says, let's go. Mu Yan tells Xiaobao that the little doll carved from jade is Big Brother Qi Huang. Xiaobao's cold little face was about to shatter. Then, her big eyes sparkled, and she couldn't hide her curiosity and happiness. However, Xiaobao has always restrained his emotions since he was a child, so he didn't laugh out loud like Mu Yan. Instead, she held Qi Huang's hand and read with him in the book Pagoda. Xiaobao knew that Big Brother Qi Huang didn't want others to see him like this, so he would accompany him in the book Pagoda for 6 hours. Mu Yan looked at the two little guys getting along harmoniously and couldn't help but smile. Xiaobao might look cold, but he was actually very nice to the fat rabbit, Little Phoenix, Bai Xie and Qi Huang who accompanied him all the way. He treated them as a family from the bottom of his heart. Otherwise, with Qi Huang's bad temper, how could he tolerate little Bao seeing him like this? Mu Yan left the book tower and once again entered the Tianguang ruins. As soon as he arrived at the reincarnation square, he heard the excited chatter of the crowd. It's been 14 hours, 14 hours. Great God Fuchen has yet to come out. Chapter 1996. Haha, I already said that God Fuchen is going to break Yi Liangshen's record this time. He will be the one to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. Bah, it's only 14 hours. Didn't he still break God Ye's 14 hours record? What arrogance. Listening to everyone's discussion, Mayan raises her brows. This time, Fuchen was still alive after staying inside for 14 hours. It seemed like he had made ample preparations before entering. However, other people's results have nothing to do with her. She can't wait to try and see if the theory of everything reinforcing and restraining each other is true or not. Soon, she arrives at the Medicine King's inheritance space through the teleportation array in front of the appraiser hall. But it is different from the first time when hundreds of people gathered. This time, there were only a dozen or so people in the space. And everyone is meditating with their eyes closed. They don't even look at her. Not to mention, they are shouting God Yi at her like the first time. However, this phenomenon is also very understandable. After all, during the first time, many people still have the mentality of a fluke. They think that if they are lucky enough to survive for 24 hours, what if they pick up a bargain? However, after a few attempts, everyone knew that luck was useless. In the valley where everything is poisonous, without strength and full preparation, they can't survive for more than 12 hours. Moreover, they have to endure all kinds of pain before they die. Therefore, most of them retreated. Those who stay are those who are truly confident in their own strength. And Mayan guesses that most of them are pill masters. Soon, the waiting time is up. Even if there are not 100 people gathered, Mayan and the others are also sent into the myriad things space. It is still the same valley, beautiful and calm. But the hidden turbulence and murderous intent is like a stormy sea, sweeping over at any time. Mayan jumps to the top of the mountain, looking at the green and colorful scene, The corner of her mouth raises into an unruly smile. The world of poison left by the only sacred ancestor Medicine King? Then let's see if she can walk out of this world of poison alive. On the Reincarnation Plaza, there are more and more people gathering. The bustling noise rose and fell one after another. 16 hours, it has been 16 hours and God Fuchin still hasn't come out. This time, Yi Liangchen will definitely lose his first place. I've been unhappy with that Yi Liangchen for a long time. He's from the Azure Blue world, but he came to our Purple Cloud world to show off. There's actually no one in the entire Purple Cloud world who can punish him. It is fortunate that she overestimated herself and came to participate in the Medicine King's inheritance trial. Now that she has been slapped in the face by God Fuchin, she must be teaching herself a lesson, right? There are only a few of you who said that Fuchin stayed in there for 16 hours. Who knows if it is true? Don't tell me your Fuchin supporters are bragging? Great God Ye's time limit of 14 hours was announced by Tianguang Ruins. The two sides quarreled fiercely. At this moment, the virtual projection in front of Reincarnation Square suddenly flashed. Following this, the ranking for the first round of the Herb Emperor's succession, living being, changed. First place, Fuchin. The second place was Yap Liangchen. The Reincarnation Square was silent for a moment, and then it exploded like firecrackers. Great God Fuchin is number 1. He finally surpassed Yap Liangchen. What did I say? I already said that Great God Fuchin would be the one to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance, but you guys didn't believe me. Chapter 1997. Liangchen Dajuan, why don't you continue to be stubborn? Continue to be arrogant? You've been slapped in the face this time, right? Who does Yi Liangchen think he is? He's just from the Azure Blue realm. Does he really think that no one in the Purple Cloud realm can deal with him? Shut up. Who do you think you are to dare slander God Yi? He's the master of the Azure Sky sect, aren't you? He's the Lord of 6 stars. Can you do that? Wasn't it just a Medicine King's inheritance? Our God Yi doesn't care at all. If you can't do it, just say that you don't care. I can see that the faces of your Liangchen army are almost swollen. Liangchen's army wanted to retort, but the facts spoke louder than words. On the projection screen in the Reincarnation Square, the bright ranking made them speechless. Ever since Yi Liangchen's name appeared in the world, no one had been able to shake his name. As long as it was a list with her participation. No matter what type, be it the Azure Cloud Realm, Azure Blue Realm, or the Purple Cloud Realm, she was unquestionably number 1. But today, her number 1 position had been snatched away by someone else. Fuchin's supporters and Yi Liangchen's haters were welcoming a carnival. Especially those from the Purple Cloud Realm who thought highly of themselves and looked down on the cultivators from the Azure Blue Realm. Ever since Yap Liangchen appeared, they couldn't even raise their heads in front of the trash from the Azure Blue realm. His heart was filled with resentment. At this moment, they could finally hold their heads up high. They could finally scold the entire Azure Blue realm for being trash and Yi Liangchen for being trash. Liangchen's army, on the other hand, felt an indescribable sense of loss, as well as a sense of grievance that could not be vented. Yap Liangchen's results were already heaven-defying. Even if he wasn't good at alchemy, wasn't that normal? However, those who wanted to discredit God Yi wouldn't listen to this at all. They seized on Great God Ye's little flaw and expanded it infinitely, almost slandering him. The Reincarnation Plaza was filled with praises for Fuchin and ridicule for Yi Liangchen. However, these people didn't know that the great God Fuchin that they were praising was currently hiding his appearance and name. He was standing in the middle of them and was frowning while looking at the list of myriad things. Nearly 18 hours. He had survived in the valley filled with poisonous creatures for 18 hours. It was indeed a long time, and it broke Yap Liangchen's record. But all of this was meaningless. This was because Chu Tianyu himself knew that he had made ample preparations before entering the space of all creation. He even obtained a grade 9 poison avoidance pill from Chu Xinyan. As long as he took the grade 9 poison avoidance pill, he would be immune to all poisons for 6 hours. But even such a pill didn't allow him to last more than 18 hours. This was because after 16 hours, even the grade 9 poison avoidance pill could not resist the poisonous creatures in the valley. It was only 18 hours, and he was already at his wit's end. How could he hold on for 24 hours? If he couldn't hold on for 24 hours and didn't obtain the Medicine King's inheritance, his father wouldn't let him off. Chu Tianyu clenched his fists and lowered his head to hide the fear and despair on his face. Now, the only thing worth rejoicing about was that even if he couldn't pass the trial of all creation, no one else could either. If he couldn't obtain the Pill King's inheritance, no one else could either. He still had a chance. Inside Laozi's number 1 shop, Easy Bro, North Sunflower, Xiang Nuan, Sister Hua, and Old Ma, who were the backbone of Liang Chen's army, were gathered together. All of them had ugly expressions on their faces as they gritted their teeth. Chapter 1998. Do we need to publicize Great God Ye's identity as the Lord of 6 Stars, and how impossible it is to accomplish? Are we just going to let them belittle Great God Ye like this? Yes, I'm going to organize the Liang Chen army. They can go around discrediting Great God Ye, and we can also publicize Great God Ye's achievements. I'm even going to publicize it in reality. A few people were ready to make a move, but only Bei Kuei Xiang Nuan was thinking about something, and suddenly said in a low voice, "You don't believe in Great God Ye?" Everyone's gazes were on this delicate and pretty girl who looked unremarkable. She rarely spoke and only quietly managed the affairs of her father's number 1 shop in the world in an orderly manner. She never fought for credit, never showed off, and never showed off when leading the Liang Chen army. But when they saw the girl's persistent and determined eyes, they suddenly remembered. This girl was the first person to stand by Great God Ye's side in the entire Tianguang ruins, and never left him. No matter how unimaginable the things mispromised, which one of them hasn't been done? Sister Hua, Old Ma, and the others swallowed their saliva, thinking of the water element pill refining talisman in their arms. No matter how wishful thinking Miss wants to compete for the rankings, which one of them hasn't won first place? Easy Bro and the others thought of Golden Tianguang, and swallowed their saliva with difficulty. Bei Kuei Xiang Nuan's little face showed a shy smile. I once told myself, from now on, I will trust Miss unconditionally. So, I also believe that as long as Miss wants to compete for the Medicine King's inheritance, she will not fail. Moreover, do you think that Great God Ye will disappoint the Liang Chen army? Easy Bro, Sister Hua, and Old Ma's breathing quickened. The original anxiety and worry in their eyes turned into certainty and determination in an instant. Yes, Great God Ye will never disappoint the Liang Chen army. And they only need to believe and wait patiently. In the space of all things. Mayan's face was flushed, and large beads of sweat kept falling from her forehead. Her clothes had long been soaked in sweat. She took out an hourglass from the jade key and glanced at it. There was still a quarter of an hour until the 24th hour. But there was almost no place to stand in the entire valley. And the poison in the air was still getting stronger. In the beginning, she only needed to consume stream water. Later on, stream water, fruits, insects, fishes, birds, and beasts, as long as it was something she collected in the first 12 hours, she would consume it all. However, his body felt that it was getting harder and harder to resist the poison in the air. Yes, it was just as she had guessed. In this myriad creation space, it was impossible to survive just by relying on antidote pills and poison avoidance pills. This was because the poison that appeared after 12 hours was not something that could be detoxified by the current antidote pills in the cultivation continent. The only things that could resist the poison after 12 hours were the various poisons that appeared in the first 12 hours. The toxicity of these poisons was light and could be removed by detoxification pills, but it could perfectly restrain the poison that would appear after 12 hours. One by one, they countered each other. Even if it was consumed incorrectly, it could be resolved with antidote pills. This was the only way to pass the trial of all things. Sure enough, Mu Yen used this move to last for 11 hours. However, at the 11th hour, just as Mu Yen had expected, even the air had become highly toxic. Chapter 1999. Can you imagine, a casual breath can make you bleed to death? At this time, the whole valley has completely turned into a poisonous swamp. Mu Yan's foothold is left with several basin-sized tree stumps. The stumps of these trees also contain poison, so they haven't been corroded by the swamp yet. But as the poison in the air becomes more and more intense, the swamp tumbles, even as if it's boiling. Even the stumps that can be used as footholds are swallowed up one by one. If this goes on, she definitely won't be able to hold on for 24 hours. Mu Yan's lips have already turned purple. Brown blood oozes out from her eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. What's even more tragic is her feet. Whether it's her shoes or her flesh, they have long been corroded by the swamp that splashes up from time to time. A piercing pain spreads from her feet to her calves and knees. Even if she holds her breath, her exposed skin starts to hurt as if it's being burned. Mu Yan takes another look at the hourglass. It's too late. Even if there's only less than a cup of tea's time left, she still can't hold on. Don't tell me she's going to fail at the last moment? Mu Yan closes her eyes, and when she opens them again, there's already an unwavering determination in her eyes. All things are poisonous, all things reinforce and subdue each other. Her line of sight is looking at the swamp that has almost swallowed the whole valley, and she murmurs. If it's said that there's always something that counters everything in this valley, then there's always something else. Then now, the only thing that can subdue the poisonous air is you. Does she believe that she can hold on until the last moment? Or does she want to bet on the only thing that can subdue each other outside of the 12-hour time frame? Mu Yan's mouth hooks up into a wanton smile. All things counteract each other, putting oneself in a desperate situation to be reborn. This is the true purpose of the all things checkpoint. I bet I won't lose. As soon as her voice falls, Mu Yan directly opens up her body that is riddled with holes, and directly falls into the tumbling swamp. Tianguang Ruins. It's a new day, and on the list of all things on the Rebirth Square, the first place is still Fuchin. Liang Chen's army has been sullen for more than 10 hours. As long as they are in Tianguang Ruins, they can hear other people laughing at them and cursing at Yi Liang Chen. However, the majority of Liang Chen's army did not choose to escape or leave. Instead, he gritted his teeth and waited in Tianguang Ruins. They believed that their great god Yi would never sit idly by and watch his first place be taken away. Bei Kuei, Xiang Nuan, and the others did not even care about their Laozi's #1 store anymore. From time to time, they would come before the list of all creations, wanting to see if their god Yi had returned to first place. Maybe god Yi really can't make it this time. After all, alchemy isn't his forte. That's right. If I had to say, great god Yi is already versatile enough. If he even knows about pharmacology, that would be incredible. I think our Liangchen army should keep a low profile during this period of time and leave the Tianguang Ruins first. Easy Bro also placed his hand on Xiang Nuan's shoulder. He looked at her with concern in his eyes. Xiao Kuei, why don't we go back first? Before he could finish his words, a woman's voice suddenly came from the side. Are you the two people in charge of Yi Liangchen's shop? Bei Kuei, Xiang Nuan, and Easy Guy all turned to look at the source of the voice and saw that it was a middle-aged woman who had spoken. The woman was about 40 years old, and the wrinkles on her face were very deep, making her look mean and sinister. Chapter 2000. When she met their eyes, there was an additional sense of superiority. Go back and tell Yi Liangchen to stop selling the water element elixir to refine talismans from tomorrow onwards. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Easy Bro frowned and asked coldly, who are you? Do you need to care what talismans our world #1 shop sells? The middle-aged woman sneered, small fries like you aren't qualified to know my name. You just need to know that Lord Fuchin asked me to pass these words to Yi Liangchen. Fuchin. Easy Bro, North Sunflower Xiang Nuan, and Liangchen Dajuan frowned. The middle-aged woman was naturally Feng Yu, who was following Chu Tianyu. Seeing their expressions change, Feng Yu's expression became even more arrogant. Lord Fuchin will obtain the Herb King's inheritance sooner or later. By then, don't think that Yi Liangchen will still have his glory today. Do you still remember the scene when you were chased out of the upper 3 districts of the Heaven Light Ruins? If you don't want to stay in the lower 3 districts and middle 3 districts, you better be obedient. Easy Bro and the others revealed an infuriated expression. Even if it is Fuchin, he can't go overboard. Go overboard? Guabin, I think you don't know what it means to go overboard. Feng Yu sneered. Your Gua clan is just a second or third-rate clan in the Azure Blue world. Do you think it is easy for me, a nascent soul realm cultivator from the Purple Cloud world, to eradicate your Gua clan? And you... She pointed at North Sunflower Xiangnuan. Your brother is in the Azure Blue world's Green Flame City Guard, right? Easy Bro and North Sunflower Xiangnuan's expression turned ashen. Big Sister Hua was enraged. Are you threatening us? So what if I am threatening you? Feng Yu had a mocking expression and turned to look at the 3 words Yi Liangchen. Her eyes were filled with hatred as though they were dipped in poison. Yi Liangchen publicly announced the water element elixir's recipe and sold the water element elixir to refine talismans. To the Flowing Moon sect, it was a devastating blow. Feng Yu might have judged the situation and immediately submitted to the Dingwa Marquis, Chu Xinyan. However, how could the days of living under someone else's roof and being a slave compare to the comfortable days of being an elder in the Flowing Moon sect? Therefore, Feng Yu really hated Yi Liangchen. Furthermore, the few pill formulas that Feng Yu gave to Chu Xinyan might be treasures of the Flow Moon sect, but their value could not be compared to the water element pill. Moreover, it was not easy to concoct the water element pill, and ordinary pill refiners would not be able to concoct it. She thought that if she could cut off the source of the water element pill's talisman, then the number of people who could refine the water element pill would decrease by 90%, and her status in the Marquis's residence would naturally rise. That was why she hid it from Chu Tianyu and came to threaten the people in the number 1 store in the world. The more Feng Yu thought about this, the more arrogant she became. I admit that being the Lord of 6 Stars is an incredible honor, but how can it compare to the Medicine King's legacy? Now that Lord Fuchin has snatched Yi Liangchen's number 1 position, all of you are mocked by everyone and have nowhere to hide. When Lord Fuchin truly becomes the Medicine King's disciple, think about it. How many people will the Good Day Army become a laughing stock? The surrounding people were already pointing at them and discussing. Some were sympathizing, some were ridiculing, and some were rejoicing in their misfortune. The Good Day Army was filled with righteous indignation as they gritted their teeth but couldn't say anything to refute. Feng Yu's expression was cold and stern while her eyes were filled with resentment. I am the person that Lord Fuchin is most proud of. Offending me is the same as offending Lord Fuchin. Think about the consequences of offending the Medicine King's successor. Before Feng Yu could finish her sentence, there was suddenly a dazzling radiance that burst out from the center of the plaza. Immediately after, the entire Heaven Light Ruins shook slightly. Everyone's ears echoed with Xiao Tian's mechanical and calm voice. With the intention to save the world, I shall concoct a heaven-defying pill to change fate and seize the soul of the King of Hells. The first stage of the sacred ancestor Medicine King's legacy, myriad creations, has been broken. The second stage, Mind's Eye, is now open. Everyone is welcome to challenge. Chapter 2001. The Reincarnation Plaza fell into a dead silence. After a long time, someone asked with a trembling voice, "Who is the one who passed the trial of all creations?" Almost as soon as that person's question vanished, the radiance that exploded on the plaza started to converge on the list of all creations. The densely packed names on the projection started to vanish and finally converged into a giant, blinding word. Yi Liangchen. The one who passed the first trial of the sacred ancestor Herb King, all creations, is Tianguang Ruin's special class user, Yi Liangchen. Feng Yu's arrogant and mean look was still on her face. When she saw the name Yi Liangchen on the light screen, her face froze. As for Liangchen's army, after the initial silence, all of them looked at each other. They could see shock, infatuation, worship, and ecstasy in each other's eyes. Immediately after, God Yi, the one who passed the Herb King's inheritance is God Yi. Wu, I knew it. God Yi will never disappoint our Liang Chen's army. Bastard! Who the fuck said that God Yi can't make it? Stand out now. The plaza was in an uproar and had also turned into a sea of joy for Liang Chen's army. Those who were previously insulting Yi Liangchen and flattering Fu Qin in high spirits were now all dumbfounded. Some of them lowered their heads awkwardly and silently backed out of Tianguang ruins. Some of them wanted to make a ruckus. Did Tianguang ruins make a mistake? But their voices were drowned out by the cheers of Liang Chen's army. Feng Yu opened her mouth and hissed, "This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible." That's right. How is this possible? Yi Liangchen could draw talismans and became a 6-star lord. His combat strength was top-notch. How was it possible for her to understand medicinal knowledge? Even Fu Qin, a prodigy pill master, couldn't pass the Herb King's trial. How could she pass it? Cheating. Yi Liangchen must have used some tricks. Before Feng Yu could finish her scream, a huge crowd suddenly pushed her to the ground. Following that, countless pairs of feet stepped on her head mercilessly. Liang Chen's army was jumping and cheering. They walked back and forth and trampled Feng Yu into a pig's head. Feng Yu screamed, "Ah, who stepped on me? My face. Ah." She wanted to leave Tianguang ruins. However, he discovered that he couldn't concentrate at all and couldn't even retreat from the Tianguang ruins. Feng Yu couldn't take it anymore. She suddenly released her spiritual power and flipped the person who was stepping on her over. She was a nascent soul cultivator, so her soul power was naturally much stronger than that of a golden core cultivator. However, Feng Yu just stood up. A bolt of lightning struck down, causing her body to convulse and her eyes to roll back. Little Tianji's voice came from above the reincarnation square. User, Alchemist Feng Yu, has violated the rules of the Tianguang ruins and attacked another user. As such, she has been punished with an electric shock to her soul and is banned from entering the Tianguang ruins for 3 months. Feng Yu spat out a mouthful of blood along with a cloud of black gas. She shouted with difficulty, "No, it's not fair. Why were these people not punished for stepping on him? If he resisted, he would be electrocuted." This soul electric shock had damaged more than half of her primordial spirit. From now on, it would be difficult for her cultivation to improve. Unfair. This was too unfair. However, before she could finish her sentence, her figure had already dissipated bit by bit until it completely disappeared. Chapter 2002. In the dreamy cloud swampland, Lil Tian snorted, slandering the first host, "And you still want fairness? In your dreams?" When Chu Tianyu heard the news that the gate of all creation was broken, he sat down on the chair, his face pale. "Crown Prince." The subordinate beside him said worriedly, "Crown Prince, are you all right?" Chu Tianyu didn't speak for a long time. After a while, he murmured, "Is it Yi Liangchen?" The subordinate nodded with difficulty, then frowned and said, "Moreover, before the gate of all creation was broken, Lord Feng Yu went to provoke Yi Liangchen's army. In the end, she suffered a heavy blow to her soul and is still bedridden." The subordinate repeated what happened in Tianguang ruins. Chu Tianyu's expression was indifferent. He said coldly, "Who gave her the courage to use my name to provoke Yi Liangchen's people? She only has herself to blame now that she is in such a state." "Crown Prince is right," the subordinate responded, showing disdain in his eyes. Feng Yu thought that by sending a woman to the Marquis's confidant, she could flaunt her power in front of the Crown Prince. Now, she was suffering the consequences of her own actions. Chu Tianyu didn't have the mood to care about Feng Yu. He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with fear and annoyance. Yi Liangchen again. This girl was like his natural nemesis. From the moment she appeared in the purple cloud domain, she had completely overshadowed all of his glory. The Lord of 6 Stars was hers. She used the evolution moon sex elixirs to suppress her, and she passed the first stage of the King of Medicine's inheritance. It could be said that Chu Tianyu had never won a single time against this young lady. If he only lost, he wouldn't care. But he didn't have the mysterious Sky Pearl, nor the King of Medicine's inheritance. His father would never let him go. What should he do? Crown Prince, I think you don't need to worry too much. Chu Tianyu looked at the person kneeling on the ground. What do you mean? I heard that someone asked Tianguang Ruins if Yi Liangchen passed the first stage, which meant that the King of Medicine's inheritance was already in her hands. However, Tianyuan Guangshu's reply was that the one who obtained the Medicine King token and activated it would be the true successor of the Medicine King. Chu Tianyu abruptly stood up from his seat. You mean, passing the first trial is useless? The subordinate chuckled and said meaningfully, it's not completely useless. Didn't it help us find the entrance to the second level? The tensed expression on Chu Tianyu's face relaxed slightly, his eyes once again revealing spirit. Have you found the entrance to the second stage, Eye of the Mind? The smile on the subordinate's face became even wider. They've already been found. Also, young master, you absolutely cannot imagine what the second test of the King of Medicine's inheritance, Eye of the Mind, is. Chu Tianyu, not alchemy? The subordinate shook his head. It has nothing to do with alchemy. You definitely cannot imagine what the mind's eye is testing. On the second day after the Everything Gate was broken, the entrance to the Eye of the Mind gate was found. However, it was different from the Everything test, which started with a group of 100 people. The time for the Eye of the Mind trial was fixed. As soon as Mayan entered the space of the King of Medicine's inheritance, she saw a huge ring-shaped wall. There were lines drawn on the wall in a disorderly manner. These lines sometimes disappeared and sometimes appeared. Each time, they would show a different part. Chapter 2003. However, he could roughly tell that this was an unimaginably complex formation. That's right, the second stage of the Herb King's inheritance actually relied on formations. Mu Yan couldn't help but sigh. This legendary sacred ancestor Medicine King was truly a strange person who did not play by the rules. Let's not talk about how perverted and strange the conditions to trigger the inheritance were. Otherwise, no one would have been able to find it even after 800 years. If it weren't for Xiaobao's heaven-defying luck, perhaps no one would be able to trigger it even after another 800 years. The first test of all living things was already strange enough. But more or less, fighting poison with poison had something to do with pharmacology. But what the hell was up with the second test formation? Did array formations have anything to do with alchemy? Alright, there were some connections. At the very least, all the alchemy furnaces were engraved with talisman arrays so that they could assist the alchemist in refining the pills. However, he had never heard of a person who studied alchemy learning formations as well. Unfortunately, there was only one requirement for the mind's eye checkpoint, and that was to use one's divine sense to link up the formation markings within a set amount of time. By activating the formation core, it would light up the formation core. Moreover, the mind's eye stage was different from the everything stage. It could only be opened once. The time was set to be in the morning 3 days later, and they only had 6 hours to clear the game. Within 6 hours, everyone had a chance to light up the formation core. The more formation cores they lit up, the better their results would be. Once his divine sense was depleted, or if he made a wrong judgment about the rules of the array's operation, he would immediately be sent out of the inheritance space and be judged to have failed. When 6 hours had passed, there was still not a single person who had reached the requirements of the Eye of the Heart. Then, the Medicine King's inheritance space would be closed forever. Mu Yan looks at the rules written in the corner of the stone wall and the corner of her mouth twitches. Did the Medicine King really want to find a successor? Although the everything stage was difficult, at least there was the possibility of unlimited attempts. But the barrier of the Eye of the Heart was 6 hours. To decide victory or defeat in one go. If it failed, wouldn't everyone's efforts be in vain? Xiuxian Continent, Polar Domain, Northern Frontier. When Han Yi hears the news that the all-living things pass has been cleared, he simply can't believe his ears. No way! It was broken in just a few days. Who the hell is so perverted? One had to know that the Myriad Objects Stages test was also once one of the stages that the Medicine King Hall used to select successors. Back then, how many alchemy masters in the cultivation continent were stuck at the all things trial. But now, it was broken by a cultivator from the cultivation continent? Elder Chang stroked his beard and said with a gratified smile, Little Nine sent a message this morning saying that the Heaven Void Cauldron shook for the second time. That meant that the Everything Gate was really broken. Perhaps there really is a genius in the cultivation continent. Han Yi coldly snorts. So what if you've broken through the myriad things barrier? Enrichment? The hardest? There was only one chance for that. Elder Chang, do you think an ordinary array master can pass the test of the eye of the mind when he or she is at the pseudo-immortal realm? Han Ye's words caused the smile on Elder Chang's face to immediately freeze, his expression turning gloomy and unsightly. That bet and the curse was meant to put Little Nine to death. Why would he give him a way out? The requirement of the mind's eye, a stage, is to light up more than 90% of the array's eyes. Previously, there was only one person who had met this requirement at the pseudo-immortal realm. Chapter 2004. That is the current master of the Medicine King Hall, Han Chujio. But for so many years in the Xiuxin continent, there was only one Han Chujio. On the Xiuxin continent, is it possible for someone to reach such a perverted requirement? No, it's impossible. And once it fails, the space of the Medicine King's inheritance will be closed forever. And Little Jio's hope will also be completely destroyed. Han Yi sees Elder Chang revealing a distressed expression, and his face changes. He says with a hollow laugh, Elder Chang, I was just speaking nonsense earlier. Think about it, isn't the condition to activate the Medicine King's inheritance even more perverted? Didn't someone reach it? Perhaps there really is hope? Elder Chang didn't speak, turning around and silently leaving. His gaze, however, can't help but look towards the horizon. Really, is there still hope? The third day hasn't arrived yet, and the Medicine King's space is already densely packed with people. But the magical thing is that the space looks so small. There are thousands of people squeezing in, but everyone doesn't feel crowded at all. Furthermore, they can see that enormous wall in front of them very clearly. My God. Luo Yu is speechless. Sixth senior apprentice sister, this array has only revealed less than 1%, and I'm already dizzy. Are you sure you can light up 90% of the array's eyes? Lung Yuma also has a sigh. Let this old lady me chop down this wall, and I'll definitely do it for you. Light up this densely packed array's eyes that are even more terrifying than a spider's web. Spare her. Mu Yen also has a bit of a headache. She isn't very proficient in the path of arrays in the first place. The only bit of knowledge she has is still from little martial uncle and learning how to draw talismans. But the talisman patterns involved in talismans are usually very simple. At most there are only 1 or 2 array's eyes. And the array in front of her has more than a few hundred array's eyes. Hey, you're Yi Liangchen? A deep male voice suddenly comes from behind. Mu Yen turns around to look, but the first person she sees isn't the person speaking. Instead, it's Fuchen who is standing not far away. Around him stand several young cultivators. There are women and men. The male cultivator who spoke just walked out from the crowd. He's wearing a gown full of runes, and there's an 8 trigrams plate on his waist. This was clearly a configuration that only formation masters would have. Seeing Mu Yen look at him, the male cultivator raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of disdain. The famous Lord of 6 Stars, the one who broke the paths of all living things in the Medicine King's legacy. So she's just an unassuming little girl. As he spoke, he took a glance at Fuchen and let out a soft laugh. I have always heard that Great God Fuchen is a well-known figure among the youth generation and that his innate talent in elixir concoction is unparalleled. From the looks of it now, it seems like the rumors are exaggerated. Chu Tianyu glanced coldly at the person who spoke and didn't reply. The people around him were all under the age of 30, and they were all famous formation masters. Some of them were found by him. There were also some who were sent by Chu Xinyan and did not know his true identity. Chu Tianyu was an all-rounder and had some achievements in the field of array formations. However, he was afraid of Yap Liangchen. Therefore, for the sake of safety, he was fully prepared this time. He would not allow any possibility of failure. The person who spoke was called Wang Bao, and he is a grade 6 formation master. He is also one of the strongest formation masters that the Dingwa Marquis residents recruited this time. Because of his strength, Wang Bao is extremely arrogant and doesn't even put Great God Fuchen in his eyes. He didn't even wait for Chu Tianyu to stop him and provoked Mu Yen. Chapter 2005. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth lifted as she spoke in a leisurely manner. Fuchen, where did you find this dog? Since you were the one who found it, why didn't you tie it up properly? Wang Bao's face changes as he glares at Mu Yen. However, before he could speak, he heard Chu Tianyu say indifferently, "It's just a disobedient wild dog that likes to bark. I just raised it, and it still doesn't know how to be obedient. I've made a fool of myself in front of God Yi." Wang Bao was enraged. "Fuchen, who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like this? I was personally invited by the Marquis to break the formation. Aren't you just relying on the fact that you've been with Marquis longer?" At this point, he sneered. "Speaking of which, if you hadn't lost to Jun Mayan in the pass of all things, why would we need to act? You can only blame yourself for being too useless. But don't worry. You can't win against Yi Liangchen. Wang Bao, will definitely make her lose." Chu Tianyu suddenly clenched his fists and frowned. He did not care about Wang Bao's provocation at all. However, he had indeed lost to Yap Liangchen. Again and again he was completely powerless to fight back. Chu Tianyu slowly walked in front of Mu Yen and said in a deep voice, "In the next 2 rounds, I will not lose to you. Even if I die, I will not lose." Mu Yen raises her eyebrows. "Really? I'll wait and see." Wang Bao shouted for a long time, but the two of them completely ignored him. This caused his expression to become even more twisted and hideous. "Yap Liangchen," he sneered, "I heard that you are even more versatile than Fuchen. You can fight, refine elixirs, and draw talismans. But don't tell me that you even know arrays? Wang Bao, will break your undefeatable legend today. Even if I cannot break through the mind's eye, I will make sure you will forever be defeated by me." After Wang Bao said this, he thought that Mu Yen would be angry and refute. Who knew that Mu Yen didn't even look at him and turned to Luo Yu, where's third senior brother? If I remember correctly, he's also an expert in formations, right? I'm not planning to come and take a look. The corner of Luo Yu's mouth twitched. Third senior brother said that he only knows killing formations. Even if the Medicine King was going to test array formations, it would definitely be closely related to alchemy. He has no interest in this kind of formation. Leng Yumo ridiculed, "Bullshit, listen to his nonsense. In my opinion, there are only 2 reasons why third senior brother doesn't want to do anything. Either he's lazy, or things aren't abnormal enough." The 3 of them chatted among themselves, completely ignoring the existence of others. Chu Tianyu sneered and left. Wang Bao's face alternated between green and white. He was ignored again and again. However, before he could speak, Little Tian's voice rang out in the King of Medicine's inheritance space. The second stage of the Medicine King's inheritance, Eye of the Heart. The time starts now. 6 hours later, if you light up 90% of the formation cores, you'll pass. Those who failed to activate the matrix or exhausted their divine sense would be directly eliminated. If no one passes after 6 hours, the Medicine King's inheritance will be permanently closed. Almost as soon as Little Tian's voice fell, the entire huge stone wall lit up with a dazzling silver light. Following that, numerous formation eyes appeared, and rune lines that were all over the place but were not connected. Luo Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. This is far more than a few hundred formation eyes. There are at least a few thousand formation eyes. Even if it was the mountain guarding formation of those big sects, they would at most have these formation eyes, right? How could such a large formation light up 90% of the formation eyes in 6 hours? In the inheritance space, many formation masters were shocked by the large formation that appeared in front of them. However, only Mu Yen seemed to be immersed in the formation and did not have the slightest reaction. Luo Yu could no longer hold it in and wanted to step forward to speak. However, before he could speak, Lin Yuma pulled him back. Don't disturb little junior sister. But there's not much time left. What if sixth senior sister has forgotten about the 6 hours? Looking at Mu Yan's appearance, her eyes had lost focus, as if she had really lost her soul. Lin Yuma also frowned, but she still gritted her teeth. Wait a little longer. Time was slowly approaching its end. There were only about 20 people left in the inheritance space. And among these 20 people, Chu Tianyu, who had the best result, had only lit up half of the formation cores. However, he was already hesitating, and fine beads of sweat seeped out of his forehead. Not only was his divine sense insufficient, but it was also because the next formation was intricate and complicated. One wrong step and he would lose everything. He did not dare to gamble. Chapter 2007. On the other hand, Wang Bao was getting more and more excited. His face was flushed and he kept repeating, "Array core, array core. Just a little more and I will be able to break the array core." Finally, Wang Bao took a deep breath and looked at Mu Yan and Chu Tianyu. He then looked at the other 20-odd people in the spatial zone. Suddenly, he laughed out loud and said, "All of you, turn your heads around and take a good look at how I break the formation." Chu Tianyu maintained his divine sense on the array formation, frowning as he turned to look at Wang Bao. The other array masters couldn't help but turn around too. As long as a small trace of divine sense was placed on the other party, they would be able to see the progress of the array core. Chu Tianyu soon saw it clearly, and his pupils shrank slightly. Wang Bao had only lit up half of the array cores. But the strange thing was that the array cores he lit up were distributed in a circular pattern and were slowly moving towards the center. Right now, it was a complete circle and only the array core in the center was still empty. This was the array core that Wang Bao was talking about. As long as the array core was broken, the entire array would be broken. Wang Bao saw everyone's envious eyes and his expression became even more delighted. He looked down at Chu Tianyu with a condescending attitude and sneered, "I will prove to the Marquis who is the real valuable person. I think it is better for me to be in charge of the Herb King's inheritance. And you, Yiliangshan?" Wang Bao turned around abruptly and looked at Mu Yan. As compared to Fuchen, he wanted to defeat Yiliangshan more. Yiliangshan was much more famous than Fuchen. Lord of 6 stars, pass of all things breaker, chief of flourishing heaven light. As long as Wang Bao could trample on her, he would be able to make a name for himself and achieve meteoric success. Wang Bao originally wanted to see how much Mu Yan had broken through the array. When he realized that she didn't even light up a single array core, he burst into laughter. "Yiliangshan, how can someone like you be called a god? You might be better than Fuchen in terms of elixir concoction, but in terms of arrays, a trash like you isn't even fit to carry my shoes." Lin Yuma and Luo Yu were both enraged. If it wasn't for the fact that fighting was prohibited in the Heaven Light Ruins, Lin Yuma would have unsheathed her saber. Damn it! A Tom, Dick, or Harry dared to clamor at their junior sister and scold her for being trash. If they were in the real world, they would have already rushed over and chopped him into pieces. Just as Lin Yuma was about to scold him back, a hand suddenly rested on her shoulder, and a clear and melodious female voice came into her ears. "Is that so? Since you're so powerful, why don't you break the formation core now and show us?" Lin Yuma and Luo Yu turned around at the same time and were overjoyed. "Little junior sister, you have finished looking at the formation." Mayan nods. "I'm done." "Are you confident in breaking it?" Mu Yan thinks for a moment. "The probability is 50-50. Luo Yu said anxiously, "Sixth senior sister, why don't you hurry and light up the eye of the array?" No hurry." Mu Yan raised the corner of her mouth and looked at Wang Bao with a smile that was not a smile. "Some array master wants me to carry his shoes for him. How can I not see with my own eyes how capable he is?" Wang Bao is infuriated by Mu Yan's contemptuous gaze that doesn't even put him in her eyes. Now that the time limit is almost up, a trash that couldn't even light up a single array core, what qualifications does she have to look down on him? For a moment, new hatred and old hatred, along with the ambition of stepping on Yi Liangchen to make a name for himself, surged up. Chapter 2008. Wang Bao laughs 3 times. Alright, Yap Liangchen, I will let you watch as the king of medicine's inheritance is snatched away. At that time, don't kneel in front of me and cry. Saying that, his consciousness connects to the last eye of the formation. Almost at the moment the divine sense wrapped around the stone wall, the entire stone wall lit up and even shook a bit. Almost all the cultivators present are shocked. Such a big movement. Could it be that Wang Bao is really going to break the heart's eye? The only one who is calm and even has a mocking smile on her lips is Mayan. Her red lips slightly open, silently spitting out 2 words, courting death. Wang Bao looks at the strange movement of the stone wall and reveals an excited expression. However, in the next moment, a ray of white light suddenly shot out from the array core that he had lit last and directly pierced through his chest. Ah! Wang Bao lets out a mournful scream, and his figure slowly disappears from the inheritance space. Everyone is dumbfounded by this unforeseen event. Even Leng Yuma and Luo Yu can't help but be curious. Junior sister, what is going on? Wang Bao was clearly full of confidence just now. Furthermore, what he said about lighting up the heart of the array first in order to break the array was very reasonable. Why is the result that Wang Bao is more miserable than all the other eliminated cultivators? Mayan chuckles and lightly says, that's because he forgot that this is the king of medicine's inheritance test, not an array master test. Luo Yu and Leng Yuma are about to continue asking questions. Then they hear someone exclaim, oh, there's only a stick of incense left. This time, the 2 don't want to ask anything and anxiously urge Mayan to start. Mayan is even more calm and composed. No need to hurry, the final result is the same anyway. Hearing Mayan's words, everyone can't help but shake their heads. It seems that Yap Liangchen really intends to give up this time. This is also normal. There are thousands of array's eyes. Even if half of them are lit up, it's still too late. Moreover, it's Mayan who hasn't been lit up yet. Everyone no longer pays attention to her, but turn their heads to seize the last opportunity and continue to light up the array's eyes. However, as more than half of the array's eyes are lit up, more and more cultivators begin to be eliminated. Usually, a single step down would result in failure and one would be expelled from the inheritance space. In the end, only Chu Tianyu, Mu Yen, Lin Yuma and Luo Yu were left in the entire inheritance space. The cold sweat on Chu Tianyu's forehead dripped down drop by drop. The fire in his heart almost made him go crazy. Lost. He was going to lose. It was impossible to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. He took every step very carefully. More than half of the array eyes were lit up, but he did not fail. But in the end it was too late. His divine sense was also depleted. No, I can't accept this. I want to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. I must obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. With a roar, Chu Tianyu's figure disappeared from the inheritance space. On the rebirth square, those who had failed to clear the trial were all gathered together, chattering non-stop. Damn, is the King of Medicine messing with us? Even a 9th grade formation master can't light up thousands of formation eyes in 6 hours. Hurry up and look, Great God Fuchen has also been eliminated. Doesn't this mean that everyone has been eliminated? Did the Herb King's inheritance fail just like that? No, this isn't right. There is still Great God Yi. Great God Yi is still inside. Could it be that the one who passed the 2nd round of the Herb King's inheritance is Great God Yi again? Chapter 2009. Hearing this person's words, a cultivator who had just come out of the inheritance space not long ago sneered. What Great God Yi? I see ye devouring. Liang Chen is a complete idiot in the field of arrays. That's right. When we left, it wasn't even 30 minutes and she didn't even light up a single array core. Yes, I saw it too. I feel that she has completely given up. In my opinion, Great God Fuchen is still better in the field of arrays. He has lit up the most array cores, but it is a pity that he didn't reach 90%. But Great God Yi is already incredible enough. Even without the Herb King's inheritance or knowing arrays, her reputation isn't tarnished. Isn't the funniest one called Wang Bao? Arrogant and looked down on Great God Yi. He swore that he would obtain the Herb King's inheritance, but in the end, he was taught a lesson by the Heart's Eye array. Wang Bao staggered as he walked to the plaza. At this moment, his soul was in extreme pain, and his heart was filled with resentment and indignation. He felt that every step he took was correct, and his strategy of breaking the formation by destroying the core of the formation was perfect. But why? Why was he attacked? And he was the only one that was attacked. Wang Bao was unwilling and felt that the Heart's Eye array was unfair. When he heard Liang Chendajuan's mockery, he was instantly infuriated. So what if I was attacked? I am still better than a trash that can't even light up a single array core. Liang Chendajuan could tolerate people saying that Great God Yi wasn't proficient in arrays. But how could he tolerate people slandering Great God Yi? Who are you calling trash? Wang Bao sneered and said loudly, "What a joke. Of course I am talking about Yi Liangchen." Everyone that entered the Herb King's inheritance space lit up a few array cores. Only Yi Liangchen couldn't even light up a single array core. If he isn't trash, then what is he? A cute young lady gritted her teeth and mocked. Before the passive myriad was broken, I also heard people slandering Great God Yi. In the end, she became the only one to break the passive myriad. Don't get slapped in the face later if you speak without thinking. Ha ha. Wang Bao laughed out loud. Are you saying that Yap Liangshan might be able to pass the second test of the King of Medicine's inheritance? Mind's eye? Haha, this is the funniest joke I've heard today. Are Yi Liangshan's supporters idiots? The cute young girl's face instantly flushed red. You're going too far. The rest of Liang Chen's army also surrounded them with hostility. Wang Bao sneered, "Did you say that Yap Liangshan could pass the Mind's Eye? Alright, I'll make a bet with you. If Yap Liangshan really passes the second level of the King of Medicine's inheritance, I will eat a pile of shit in front of you. If Yi Liangshan can't do it, then your Liangshan army will kneel down and bark like a dog. You will also have to lick my feet. How about it, do you dare?" The cute girl was so angry that her eyes turned red. She glared at Wang Bao. The rest of Liang Chen's army tried to persuade her. After all, everyone knew that it was impossible for anyone to pass the second stage of the Medicine King's inheritance. Wang Bao became even more pleased with himself. Dogs really follow their masters. Yi Liangchen is useless, and his dogs are all cowards. Alright, I'll bet with you. The cute girl roared out, her hands clenched into fists. I alone, on behalf of Liang Chen's army, will bet with you. Chapter 2010. Zhu Xiang, don't be rash. Yeah. You've heard what everyone said. This checkpoint isn't something that anyone can pass. Even a 9th grade formation can't do it, let alone someone like God Yi who doesn't know much about formations. The girl called Zhu Xiang gritted her teeth, glaring at Wang Bao with bloodshot eyes, not taking a step back. Wang Bao felt all the anger in his heart dissipate, and he felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. He looked at the hourglass he carried with him, and said slowly, "There's only a moment left before the 6 hours are up. The results will be shared soon. I'll be waiting for you, Liang Chen's army, to kneel on the ground and lick my..." Bang! A huge shockwave spread out from the center of the reincarnation plaza. Following that, a blinding white light shot into the sky. All the faces of the people in the square were illuminated by the white light. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air, stammering, "Fuck? Why does this scene look so familiar? No way. It can't be real." Just as everyone was mumbling to themselves, little Tian's mechanical and calm voice entered everyone's ears, shaking their souls. With the heart to save the world, refine a pill that can change fate, and seize the soul of the King of Hell. The second stage of the Saint Herb King's inheritance, Eye of the Heart, has been cleared 100%. The third stage, which is also the final stage of the Saint Herb King's inheritance, Nourishment, has officially begun. Everyone is welcome to challenge. Gulp. Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva, wanting to ask who it was that had broken through the mind's eye. However, he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue, because he felt that there was no need to ask. To be able to make the impossible possible, to be able to create miracles time and time again, to shock everyone time and time again, to the point of numbness, there was only one person. Under God Yi, there was no other king. Exploding rays of light rained down on the plaza like fireworks, finally converging on the glowing image of the central, forming 3 blinding words. Yi Liang Qin. Little Tian's voice rang out once more. The person who cleared the second stage, Eye of the Heart, is Tianguang Ruin's special class user, Yi Liang Chen. Zhu Xiang suddenly covered her mouth as tears flowed uncontrollably from her eyes. She did it, she really did it. I knew it. I knew God Yi wouldn't let us down. From the azure blue realm to the purple cloud realm, from reality to Tianguang Ruins, she has never disappointed us. The reincarnation square exploded once again. In other words, the entire Tianguang Ruins had exploded. Most of them were not surprised when Yap Liangchen passed the Everything Challenge for the first time. Firstly, the All Things stage could be tried an unlimited number of times, and in reality, it did not only involve medicinal theory, but also the strength of the Xiuzhe. Yap Liangchen was so powerful, and he had been at the top for a long time. It was not surprising that he would be the first one to pass the test. But in the Mind's Eye stage, many array masters had come to the conclusion that it was impossible to pass. How was it possible to light up thousands of formation cores in 6 hours? How was that possible? Guruyi, our hearts aren't strong enough. Please don't agitate us anymore. In the future, as long as Yap Liangchen participates in any ranking competition, all mortals will have to leave. Damn it, if we don't leave, are we waiting to be slapped in the face? Liang Chen's army, on the other hand, looked at each other in confusion. Their faces were more dazed than ecstatic. Chapter 2011. Someone gulped and said, "Are we really supporting a person and not a god?" Zhu Xiang smiled through her tears. In my heart, Goddess Yi is my only faith. She's the most powerful god in my heart. Are you guys stupid? Someone suddenly reacted and slapped his companion's back. Goddess Yi passed the second stage of Herb King's inheritance. The second stage. Everyone said that Goddess Yi couldn't do it. She did it again. Why you guys still standing there? Everyone looked at each other. The next moment, thunderous applause and cheers erupted in Reincarnation Square again. In the end, these chaotic shouts intertwined into 3 words. Yap Liang Qin. Yap Liang Qin. Yap Liang Qin. Not only Liang Chen's army, but even the other cultivators could not help but raise their arms and cheer. Wang Bao lowered his head, shrunk his shoulders, and carefully retreated. His soul was severely injured in Herb King's inheritance space, so he could not condense his divine sense. Moreover, there were too many people in Reincarnation Square. Divine sense and mental power were mixed together, so he could not even retreat from Tianguang Ruins. However, before he could retreat from the crowd, someone shouted, "This son of a bitch who slandered Goddess Yi wants to run." That voice scared Wang Bao so much that he shuddered. It also woke up the people who were immersed in the cheers and laughter. Zhu Xiang wiped the tears off her face and smiled. "What did you say just now? If Goddess Yi breaks the Heart's Eye stage, will you eat shit in front of everyone?" Wang Bao was filled with indignation at that moment. He felt that his method of breaking the formation was correct. However, why was it Yi Liang Qin who broke the formation in the end? However, facing the thousands of unfriendly and mocking gazes from Liang Chen's army, Wang Bao shuddered and stammered, I was just saying, hee, weren't you very arrogant when you slandered Goddess Yi earlier? Now you want to beg for mercy? That depends on whether Liang Chen's army agrees to it or not. Eat shit. You must eat shit in front of everyone. The crowd approached Wang Bao step by step. Occasionally, it was mixed with other people's mocking and jeering. Eat shit in front of everyone. Who wouldn't want to see something so interesting? Cold sweat dripped down Wang Bao's forehead. His voice trembled as he desperately tried to gather his divine sense to leave the sky-like ruins. However, he couldn't do it no matter what. He could only shout, "This is Tianguang ruins. Even if I'm willing to fulfill my promise, there's no shit for me to eat." Almost as soon as his voice fell, patter! A pile of yellow, greasy, and smelly poop fell in front of Wang Bao. Little Tian's emotionless voice came from the reincarnation square. Tianguang Ruins certified user, Master Leopard, wants a pile of stinky golden poop worth 1,000 top-grade crystals. Friendship price, 500 top-grade crystals. It has been directly deducted from the jade key of Master Leopard. This golden smelly stool has a large amount and a strong fragrance. Once it enters the mouth, it will work on the divine soul, and it won't dissipate on the tip of the tongue for at least 7 days. Guaranteed to be worth the money. User, Master Leopard, please enjoy. The moment the golden stinky poop dropped onto the ground, many people took a few steps back in fear. Several girls covered their noses in disgust. However, after hearing little Tian's words, the crowd was stunned at first, then they burst into laughter. Golden stinky poop? Tianguang ruins? Are you kidding me? Haha. Chapter 2012. I'm really convinced that Tianguang Ruins even has this thing. And it's actually selling it for 500 high-grade crystals. I say, Master Bao, weren't you just worried that Tianguang Ruins wouldn't have shit for you to eat? Great, Tianguang Ruins has specially satisfied you. Wang Bao looks at the huge pile of stinky poop in front of him. His vision darkens and he almost faints. How could Liang Chen's army let him go? They surround him one by one. If you don't fulfill your promise and eat this poop, we'll beat you up every time we see you in Tianguang Ruins. If I can't beat you up in Tianguang Ruins, I'll beat you up in reality. Isn't it just the eastern continent of Ziyun world? Don't think that I can't find you. Wang Bao's face is pale. He opens his mouth, wanting to beg for mercy. But someone kicks him from behind, and his whole face bumps into the stinky golden poop. A pungent stench directly rushes into his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. It makes him twitch all over, and he's better off dead. At this time, there's only one thought in Wang Bao's mind. What's wrong with me to provoke this fiend, Liang Chen? Boo-hoo, if I see this demoness in the future, can't I just take a detour? Mu Yan still doesn't know that she hasn't done anything, yet she's been crowned with the title of demoness. After breaking through the mind's eye, she directly left Tianguang Ruins. At this time, she's really ecstatic. It's not because she broke through the second test of the Medicine King's inheritance. Rather, it's because the mind's eye array is really an unimaginable treasure for her. Many people are very puzzled about the test array of the Medicine King's inheritance. But the moment Mu Yan sees the mind's eye array, she knows why the Medicine King set up this kind of test in the second test. Because this array was completely prepared for the alchemy cauldron. Mu Yan has seen a similar array in the Encyclopedia of Alchemy Basics, in the Tian Mo Qin space. But it's only an incomplete array. The mind's eye array, on the other hand, is complete and can be divided into thousands of small arrays. If Wang Bao wants to break an array for an alchemy furnace in the same way as other offensive and defensive arrays, how could he not suffer a backlash? And lighting up 90% of the array's eye is just a trap. This was because thousands of small arrays were fused into a large array, forming a rare alchemy furnace. Since it was an alchemy furnace, the entire array was naturally one. How could there be a difference in how many array eyes there were? Therefore, if Mu Yan wants to light up the entire heart's eye formation, she only has one chance. That was to use the core of the formation as the core and use his immense spiritual sense to envelop the entire formation and activate it in one go. If he succeeded, he would win. Defeat meant complete defeat. In the end, at the very last moment when Mu Yan's divine sense was exhausted, she succeeded. As soon as she returns to Tianlang Palace, Mayan immediately runs into the alchemy room. Leng Yuma and Luo Yu followed her out of the Tianguang Ruins. towards their junior apprentice sister, breaking through the heart's eye array in just a few short breaths of time, causing all the array eyes to light up. They were all dumbfounded. As soon as they arrived at the reincarnation square, the crowd's cheers were like waves, almost drowning them. It was a pity that his junior sister didn't seem to have any interest in him passing the second round of the Medicine King's inheritance. He wasn't even interested in admiring his own achievements and left the Tianguang ruins directly. Now he's hurriedly running into the alchemy room. What's he up to? In Tianlang Palace, even Yun Ruhan and the others were alarmed, rushing over one after another. Chapter 2013. After that, everyone stared dumbfoundedly at their junior sister, whose appearance could cause the downfall of a nation and possessed the beauty of a celestial being. She climbed up and down inside the huge alchemy furnace like a monkey, not stopping for even a moment. She used a knife to carve rune lines, injected crystal energy into the rune lines, and used her divine sense to guide spiritual power into the rune lines. Even Xiao Bao, the fat rabbit little phoenix, and Bai Xie, who had taken the Zhiyuan pill and was cultivating in the boundless space, all came out. The other beasts and humans were all dumbfounded. Xiao Bao, on the other hand, obediently went over to give his mother the crystal stones and a towel to wipe her sweat with. Her delicate little face was still expressionless, but her cute appearance of taking care of Mu Yen made Lin Yuma and the others envious and jealous. After busying herself for 4 hours, Mu Yen jumped out of the alchemy furnace. Her face was covered with a lot of dust, but her eyes were sparkling. She had just carved 3 small formations of the mind's eye on the 8th grade alchemy furnace of Tianlang Palace. These 3 small formations were mainly used for energy conversion. Mu Yen wanted to convert the spiritual power of the Xiuzhen continent into immortal power. If she could do this, the immortal power that the Zhiyuan pill could supply to Xiaobao would increase by a lot. Of course, these 3 small formations were definitely not enough. But the mind's eye had thousands of small formations, and she remembered them all. If 3 was not enough, then 6, then 9. She could always make up for the immortal power that Xiaobao needed. Yun Ruhan looked at the alchemy furnace, then looked at Mu Yen, hesitating. Little junior sister, this 8th grade alchemy furnace is an 8th grade spiritual tool. His voice was not loud, and Mu Yen was so excited that she did not hear him at all. After confirming that there were no mistakes in the formation, she injected her spiritual power and divine sense into it in one breath, lighting up the 3 formation eyes at the same time. The next moment, bang! A loud noise came from Tianlang Palace again, shaking the whole Flying Dragon City. Then, thick smoke surged out from the top of Tianlang Palace. A few big and small people escaped from the alchemy furnace in a panic, each of them as black as charcoal, covered in dust. Only a pair of eyes and a mouth of teeth were shining. The teachers and students of Dragon Soar Academy, as well as the participating teams, were naturally alarmed. All of them ran over to watch the show. Ah, did he blow up the alchemy room again? Tisk, tisk. What do you think is wrong with the Xiaoyao sect? If you don't know how to concoct pills, why do you insist on concocting pills? If you want to fight properly, just do your best. The dean of the Dragon Soaring Academy, Zhou Daoi, also rushed over. Using his divine sense to sense roughly, his face immediately darkened. The 8th grade alchemy furnace had exploded again. In less than a month, a 7th grade alchemy furnace and an 8th grade alchemy furnace. If converted into crystal stones, it would be several million. Even if their Dragon Soaring Academy was rich and overbearing, they could not afford to lose like this. Zhou Daoi wanted to rush out and denounce him. However, he suddenly remembered what Kong Yuanjiu had said the last time he went to consult him. The entire Tianlang Palace belongs to her. If she loves it so much that it explodes, if she loves it so much, 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 you'd better not interfere. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Zhou Daoi took a step back. In the end, who was this sheich that Elder Kong spoke of? But no matter what, there must be someone in the Xiaoyao team that he could not afford to offend. Zhou Daoi had always been cautious. He did not want to capsize in the gutter for an 8th grade alchemy furnace. Chapter 2014. At this time, Mayan looks at the thick smoke rising from the alchemy room, her expression completely unsightly. She actually failed? How could this be? Haha, idiot. Qi Huang's gloating voice comes to her ears. You stupid woman, do you know what level this mind's eyes array is? You dare to casually carve it on a trash alchemy furnace? Do you think an ordinary alchemy furnace can withstand the huge impact of the mind's eyes array? Mayan grits her teeth. What kind of trash alchemy furnace is this? This is an 8th grade alchemy furnace. It's more than 10 times more expensive than the 7th grade purple gold furnace she bought last time. Isn't it very expensive? Why did it become trash in Qi Huang's mouth? Qi Huang snorts coldly. Something that can't even withstand a real alchemic fire can also be considered an alchemy furnace? In the Xiuxian continent, this thing can only be regarded as a stove at most. Do you know what kind of alchemy furnace the king of medicine left behind this mind's eye array? Forget it, a country bumpkin like you wouldn't understand even if I told you. Mayan is simply going crazy with anger. At this time, Yun Ruhen comes over and coughs lightly. Little junior sister, the 7th grade alchemy furnace you blew up last time cost at least 100,000 high-grade crystal stones. This time, I think the 8th grade alchemy furnace you blew up is worth at least 2 million high-grade crystal stones. Cough. Although Dragon Soaring Academy hasn't come to collect the debt from us now, I think that after the Deer Cry banquet is over, I'm afraid that we'll have to pay the total debt together. Mayan suddenly feels her vision go dark. She didn't manage to make a high-grade alchemy furnace, and she even carried a debt for herself? Originally, she was using Laozi's #1 store in the world to support the entire Nether Flame army, plus her own cultivation, and she was already stretched thin. Now she's carrying a debt of several million. Qi Huang's smile becomes more and more gloating. Jun Mayan, who told you not to give Ben Zun the crystal stones, now you yourself have become a pauper. Mayan grinds her teeth, suddenly narrowing her eyes dangerously. Qi Xiao Huang, you already knew that when I carved the mind's eye on the 8th grade alchemy furnace, it would cause it to explode? What does Ben Zun not know? After Shiguang Gangs finished speaking, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. As expected, Mu Yen chuckled. Good, very good. Since that's the case, then the explosion of the cauldron will be your responsibility. I'll give you 1 month to pay off the debt of 3 million crystal stones. Otherwise, don't blame me for serving you a round of itchy meat set meal every day. Jun Mayan, you dare. Qi Huang yells in anger. Moreover, there's clearly only 2 million. Where did the 3 million come from? Wait, why should I help you pay off your debt? Mayan ignores him and directly shields the space, letting him jump around inside. Xiaobao hugs Mu Yan's thigh and raises his small head. His big eyes are filled with determination. Nyangqin doesn't need to worry, Xiaobao will help you earn spar. As he spoke, Xiaobao clenched his little fists, and his face was filled with determination. Wasn't it just 2 million crystal stones? He wants to earn it back for his mother. Xiuxian continent. To devour. Elder Chang descended from the sky and walked into a luxurious palace. The plaque in the middle of the palace impressively has the words Medicine King Hall written on it. The entire palace is magnificent and majestic, brightly lit, and there's even the sound of stringed instruments. However, there's not even a shadow of a person in the huge palace. And this kind of brilliant lights and the sound of music can only serve as a foil to the person in the depths of the palace, making him look even more solitary, lonely, and mournful. Chapter 2015. Elder Chang's heart feels sour. His footsteps, which were originally like stepping on air and shrinking the ground, also slow down as he walks step by step towards the end of the hall. There, on the chaise lounge, sits a youngster. The youngster is dressed in an old and mature black and gray robe, his long hair hanging loose. But this kind of dressing can't hide his young and tender face. At this time, the youngster is sitting cross-legged and holding his chin, looking out the window, as if there's a magnificent scene there that attracts him. However, Elder Chang knows that there's only a thick black fog outside the Medicine King Hall. It's like a huge cage, firmly shackling the person inside. Little Gio, I heard Han Yi say that the mind's eye gate was broken? Your curse might really be. Elder Chang's trembling voice hasn't finished speaking. He sees the youngster fiercely pounding the table, angrily saying, I'm so angry in the end, which guy broke it? He actually lit up all the eyes of the array. To be able to light up all the eyes of the array before the age of 30, doesn't that mean he's stronger than me, Han Chujio? Damn it, I refuse to accept this. In this world, it's impossible to have a better talent for alchemy than me. Elder Chang's mouth twitches, the blue veins on his forehead violently throbbing. You're sitting here with a lonely face, not because you're sad, but because you're envious of your future disciple? Little Gio's unreliable temperament really hasn't changed for thousands of years. Elder Chang coughs lightly. In any case, the mind's eye gate was perfectly broken, and the probability of breaking the moistening thing gate has increased by 30%. Such a genius is bound to ascend and come to the Xiuxian continent. At that time, he might help you, plus with Jun Shang's power. What do you mean by might? Han Chujio interrupts Elder Chang again, his nose crooked in anger. That's my disciple. If not me, who would he help? And Di Mingju, you go back and tell him, if he dares not help me, I will cut off the supply of elixirs to your polar domain. Elder Chang looks at the sky, speechless. Before Jun went to the northern frontier, he left behind the mythological beast, Di Ting, to monitor the entire polar domain. Han Chujio's complexion changes, stiffly saying, Di Mingju, this kid manages the polar domain well, he can be considered young and promising. Looking at his reluctant praise, Elder Chang almost laughed out loud. Don't look at how Han Chujio treats Di Mingju with her nose and eyes. In fact, in the entire polar domain, there was only one person he feared. That is the only king of the polar domain, Di Mingju. Chang Lao talked to Han Chujio for a while, telling him to practice and nourish his body. Then he left. After Elder Chang left, the entire Medicine King Hall fell into a lonely clamor once more. Han Chujio picked up the teacup in front of her and took a sip, then murmured, Disciple? Will you let me not be alone anymore? I really can't stay here for another day. Tianguang Ruins. Bei Kue Xiang Wan's message popped up before his eyes. Mu Yen glanced at it and frowned slightly. Junior sister, has no one found the entrance to the nourishing thing? Yun Ruhan asked with concern. The entrances to the first and second stages of the Medicine King inheritance were quickly found. But the entrance to the third stage, the nourishing thing, had been searched for 3 days, yet no one in the entire Tianguang ruins could find it. Liang Chendajuan wanted to find the third entrance to the Medicine King inheritance as soon as possible, more than anyone else. During this period of time, he almost turned the entire Tianguang ruins upside down. Chapter 2016. However, in the end, he gained nothing. What worries Liang Chendajuan the most is not that he hasn't found the entrance to the nourishing object test. It's the rules of nourishing object. The rules of mind's eye are already very abnormal. 3 hours, 1 chance, 1 hammer to decide everything. If he fails, he will close the Medicine King's inheritance. But the rules of the nourishing object test are even more abnormal. The nourishing object entrance will only be open for 7 days. And only 3 people can enter the inheritance space to take the test. Once all 3 people fail the test, the Medicine King's inheritance will close. Mu Yen takes out 3 crystal clear glass beads from the jade key space and gently twirls them on her fingertips. These 3 beads appeared when the variant Yuan Dan triggered the Medicine King's inheritance, passed the All Things test, and the Mind's Eye test. It probably means that she has passed several of the Medicine King's tests. But Mu Yen has a hunch that if she can't pass the last test, nourishing object, then no matter how many of these glass beads she has, it will be useless. So, does the Medicine King really want to find a successor? He always felt that the content of his assessment was completely forcing people to do things that were beyond their control. Mu Yen withdraws her resentful thoughts, looks at her fellow apprentices, and slowly says, "No, someone has found the first entrance to the nourishing object test." The past life square is once again filled with people. Everyone's eyes fall on the central platform. A virtual projection screen once again appears there, and on the screen is a vast space. In the space, a middle-aged man is holding a flower pot in his hand, looking around with a look of horror. And standing around him are 100 cultivators. These cultivators all have a variety of names above their heads, such as Guangdong No. 1 Roar, Golden Blade dominates the heavens. One look and you can tell that they are users of Tianguang ruins. Everyone is a little dumbfounded looking at this scene. This is the third test of the Medicine King's inheritance. Nourishing object test? But who exactly is it testing? And what is it testing? Very quickly, little Tian answers the questions of the strange people inside and outside the inheritance space. User, Honest Lu who wants to become Jindan. The third test of the Medicine King's inheritance, nourishing object, is now open to you. There is only one requirement for this test, and that is to grow the spirit plant in your hand. As long as the spirit plant in your hand sprouts, blossoms, bears fruit, and finally gathers the fruit, it means that you have passed the third stage of the Medicine King's inheritance. Once this stage is passed, the Medicine King token will appear. Once the Medicine King token is activated, the Medicine King inheritance will officially begin. Honest Lu who wants to become a Jindan was clearly the name of the middle-aged man in the Tianguang ruins. When he heard Lil Tian's words, his eyes lit up. Are you serious? As long as I grow this spirit plant, I will be able to obtain the Herb King's inheritance. I'm a Ling plant's master. I might not be good at other things, but when it comes to planting Ling plants, I can definitely do it well. Of course, it's not, Little Tian replied. Do you see the heavenly light users around you? They were all chosen by the Medicine King's inheritance space. They are all elite cultivators of the same level as you. They'll attack you while you're planting the spirit plants. Once you're killed by them or your spirit plant dies, you'll be deemed to have failed the challenge. During the process of planting the spiritual plants, you won't have any weapons or elixirs. You can only rely on your physical body to fight and defend, and you can only rely on your own spiritual energy to replenish it. But these 100 elite cultivators are immortal and indestructible. Even if they're killed by you, their spiritual energy will be full and they will return to the nourishing object, space. Chapter 2017. As Little Tian spoke, Honest Lu's face turned paler and paler. His initial confidence and joy turned into fear. Elite cultivators of the same level? That meant they were all fasting cultivators, and most of them were at their peak. And he was only at level 6 fasting. As far as the eye could see, he couldn't even defeat a single cultivator. However, Little Tian had yet to finish his sentence. In addition, the 100 cultivators selected are not without benefits. If you fail a round, all cultivators will be rewarded with 1,000 popularity points, which can be exchanged for 1-to-1 high-grade crystals in Tianguang ruins. If you kill the examinee or destroy the spirit herb, apart from 1,000 popularity points, you will receive an additional spirit tempering. If you fail all 3 rounds, all assisting examinees will be rewarded with the privilege of bathing in Tianguang ruins Ningyuan pool. Honest Lu's eyes were filled with despair as soon as these words were spoken. On the other hand, the eyes of the 100 cultivators lit up. They were practically beaming with joy. They had been pulled into the Herb King's inheritance space out of nowhere and were at a loss. Who knew it would be a free lunch from the heavens? Let's not talk about the actual 1,000 popularity points. Spirit tempering and Ningyuan pool were things that were extremely beneficial to a cultivator's soul and consciousness. In the end, the outcome of the first round of the nourishment test was unimaginable. Honest Lu threw away the flower pot in his hand almost immediately, kneeling and begging for mercy, giving up on passing. The cultivators on Rebirth Square were dumbfounded when they saw the contents of the test. This time, I'm really suspicious. Does the Herb King really want to find a disciple? Does he want to pass on his skills to someone else? That's right. This kind of mission doesn't look possible. Even Guru Yi can't do it, right? If Guru Yi faced 8 or 10 cultivators of the same level, I believe she could win. 30 or 40 shouldn't be a problem. After all, she's the Lord of 6 stars. But this is 100 cultivators of the same level who will never run out of spiritual energy? If she could do it, she wouldn't be human. That's not the point. Don't forget that you have to nourish the spirit herb while fighting. You can't let it die. How can you pass such a test? The crowd was in an uproar. This time, even Liang Chendajuan could not remain calm, because it was obvious that this was an impossible mission. Many people were cursing the Medicine King for being such a scammer. If he didn't want to give the inheritance, he could have just not opened the inheritance space. Was it fun to fool people? Mu Yen, who is also at the reincarnation square, can't help but frown. Junior sister, can you pass this stage? Mu Yen shook her head. I don't know. She really didn't know now. He wasn't afraid of the 100 cultivators. It was the spirit plant. Was it really possible to grow a spirit plant that had never even sprouted? And most importantly, she has no way of bringing the Tian Mo Qin into the Tianguang ruins. Without the Tian Mo Qin, there would be no flourishing and myriad plants resonating skills. Could he really grow a spiritual plant just by watering the soil and injecting his spiritual energy? Mu Yen remembers the dark cloud spirit flower that Di Mingju had her plant. That dark cloud spirit flower, with low spiritual power, was already so difficult to grow. Would the test given by the Yaowang be so easy? If other people were to hear her thoughts, they would probably directly vomit blood. She didn't even put the attacks of 100 cultivators of the same level in her eyes. Chapter 2018. The only worry was whether the spirit herb could be planted. After learning about the details of the nourishing item round, most of the people immediately gave up on the Herb King's inheritance. There were also people who guessed that Yi Liangchen and Fuchen wouldn't seek humiliation and would search for the entrance. Because even if they found it, it would only result in failure. Rather than being seen as a failure in front of everyone, it was better to keep a low profile and save some face for themselves. However, things went beyond everyone's expectations. On the second day, the second entrance of the nourishing item was discovered. The one who discovered the entrance was none other than the special user whose reputation was only inferior to Yi Liangchen in the Tianguang ruins, Fuchen. After finding out that Fuchen insisted on challenging the nourishing item round, everyone immediately flocked to the reincarnation plaza. Fuchen looked at the Golden Core Realm cultivators that were surrounding him. Every one of them was at least at the 7th grade of the Golden Core Realm. In the Dragon Soar Academy, all the young cultivators below the age of 30 were gathered. It was naturally rare for cultivators below the age of 30 to break through to the Golden Core Realm. But in the entire Tianguang ruins, there were countless cultivators above the Golden Core Realm. Therefore, a casual grab from the Tianguang ruins would be able to find a huge bunch of them. Right now, these Golden Core Realm cultivators were looking at Fuchen with burning eyes, as though they were looking at a huge pile of popularity points, the Ning Yuan pool, and the divine spirit tempering. Kiki, God Fuchen, don't blame us for not showing mercy later. After all, everyone is doing this for their own benefits. Fuchen took a step forward and lifted his chin slightly before saying indifferently, later on, none of you shall attack me. But that's right. Do you think we won't dare to kill you just because you are a god? I am used to living on the edge of a blade and I don't care what reputation you have. Fuchen let out a faint smile and his face was filled with confidence. Just because I can give each of you 10 times more benefits than 1,000 popularity points, the Ning Yuan pool, and the divine spirit tempering. Once the statement was out, the 100 cultivators were startled. What does God Fuchen mean? Fuchen said, the meaning is very clear. Everyone here, as long as you don't make a move on me while I am nurturing the spirit herb, once I obtain the Herb King's inheritance, I guarantee that each of you will receive more than 10,000 crystals. The 100 cultivators all took a deep cold breath and their breathing became hurried. 10,000 crystals was not a small sum for itinerant cultivators like them. The smile on Fuchen's face grew even more haughty. You all saw the scene yesterday. Everything that happened today must have been witnessed by tens of thousands of people in the Reincarnation Plaza. Are you all afraid that I will go back on my word? I, Fuchen, am already able to refine grade 6 elixirs. Do I still need to rely on your 1 million crystals? Indeed, a 6th grade medicinal pill was worth tens of thousands of crystals. Fuchen was definitely able to produce 1 million crystals. The 100 cultivators gritted their teeth and finally nodded heavily. Alright, deal. Everyone in the square was dumbfounded. Oh my god, so that's how it works. Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? Ning Yuan Qi might be a lot to us regular cultivators, but to someone like Great God Fuchen, it isn't considered much. Even Mu Yen was dumbfounded. She couldn't help but chuckle. This Fuchen is quite interesting. Ever since he fought with him for the King of Medicine's inheritance, he hadn't used any sinister tricks, but he never gave up. Chapter 2019. Right now, this seemingly dead-end, nourishing item stage actually allowed Yi Futian to come up with such an unconventional method. It was a pity that the things that Yi Futian wanted to compete with him, be it the Mystic Heaven Pearl or the Herb King's inheritance, Yi Futian would never give up. Let's see if Fuchen's unconventional method could allow him to break through the nourishing item stage and summon the Herb King token. Without the interference of 100 Golden Core Realm cultivators, Chu Tianyu quickly started to nurture the spirit herb in his hands. There was nothing else in the nourishing item spatial zone. But the necessities for growing the spirit herb were all prepared. In fact, the water used to cultivate the spirit herb was the rarely seen, rootless spirit water. As Chu Tianyu used his spirit qi to nourish the spirit herb and watered it with the rootless spirit water, a tender green bud slowly grew out of the flower pot. The bud emitted a rich spirit qi and fragrance, causing the 100 cultivators in the inheritance spatial zone to involuntarily take a sniff. Chu Tianyu was also overjoyed. He was originally afraid that this spirit herb would be extremely difficult to nurture. But from the looks of it now, the hardest part of the nourishing item stage wasn't to nurture the spirit herb, but to deal with the 100 cultivators of the same cultivation realm. As Chu Tianyu meticulously nurtured it, he injected more and more spirit qi. The spirit herb in the flower pot grew bigger and bigger, so much so that 3 stamens slowly appeared at the top. Right now, only 4 hours had passed. Those 3 stamens didn't look like they were going to bud for a long time either. The green calyx slowly opened up, revealing the pink and translucent petals. There was a commotion on the plaza. Could it be that the person who passed the nourishing item stage was God Fuchen? If I remember correctly, Tianguang Su said that the nourishing item stage would be broken and the Herb King token would be revealed. Whoever activated the Herb King token would be the true Herb King's inheritor. From the looks of it, could it be that Yi Liangchen passed 2 stages consecutively and ultimately helped God Fuchen? As soon as this statement was made, many people agreed with it. As for Liang Chen's army, they were about to explode from anger. Chu Tianyu used the method of bribing cultivators to pass the simplest, nourishing item stage and was going to take away all of God Ye's credit? How could they accept this? Hence, Liang Chen's army scolded Fuchen for being shameless, while Fuchen's supporters retorted loudly, clamoring that the Medicine King token belonged to their great god Fuchen. For a time, the reincarnation square was in chaos. At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Look!" Everyone turned around and focused their attention on the virtual projection again. However, when they saw it, they were all shocked. The 3 flowers that Chu Tianyu had nurtured had all bloomed. The petals were light pink and almost transparent. They were crystal clear and extremely beautiful. One look and one could tell that they were not ordinary items. However, the petals of the first flower that bloomed slowly turned black. Then, it began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chu Tianyou's face was filled with panic and pain, desperately injecting spirit energy into the flower pot. No, how could this be? You can't fail. You can't wither again. Absolutely not. Unfortunately, reality did not develop in the direction he had hoped for. After another quarter of an hour, the second most flowers withered. An hour later, even though Chu Tianyu had used all his strength, the last flower had withered. Soon after, the entire flower branch had withered, until Chu Tianyou's hand was left with a bare flower pot again. Chu Tianyu clenched the two sides of the flower pot tightly and his eyes were scarlet red. No! I cannot fail. I did not fail. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.